Hello, everybody. This is Oliver from Rock Kaput.
And I'm Alex.
And yeah, today is we tend to say that every time, but today really is a special episode, right? Because we are doing a band that's a little bit out of our wheelhouse, one could say. A band I really, really love. The band is Steely Dan. And we're doing that for a very special occasion because my good friend Errol had his birthday just yesterday, and he's a huge Steely Dan fan. He's responsible for me liking Steely Dan, and yeah, this is my gift to him. So I hope he will enjoy our ranking.
Happy
Um,
birthday.
Happy birthday, belated happy birthday.
Belated.
So if you like our video, don't forget to give us your thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and prepare to give us your comments and tell us what do you think about Steely Dan. And yeah, let's just dive right in. I'm going to make this very short. I'm going to say a couple of words about the history of the band. So Steely Dan were founded in the early 70s by the friends Donald Fagen and Walter Becker. They started young as studio musicians and songwriters. Already had a little bit of success in that venue, and yeah, when they recorded their first studio album in 1972, Steely Dan still was a complete band, and they were touring. But this changed around 74 when Walter Becker and Donald Fagen decided to just make this kind of a studio project. So they completely stopped touring. They only hired session musicians, so playing with absolute pros, and their records would become more and more perfect, you could say. So they were really meticulously working on sound and songwriting and making these very perfect sounding, yeah, I would say it's kind of jazz pop. You can certainly see some yacht rock in there as well. And yeah, Steely Dan have this kind of you could say they are looked down upon a little bit because they were so perfect. Their lyrics were very intellectual, a little bit snobby. So and they weren't part of the scene because they weren't playing live. So yeah, they were cut above the rest, and this kind of followed them around through the ages because still nowadays there are people that just can't listen to them or can't find anything good about them to say because it's this clinical sounding music. I see that way different, although, of course, their records sound amazing. You can hear that, the work that they put into them. They split up in the early 80s after, I think, 7 albums. And then they reformed in the mid 90s. They were just touring for a while. And then in 1999, they released a comeback album called Two Against Nature. That's when I saw them live in Germany. They came over here, and then shortly after they released another one, Everything Must Go. But that's it. Donald Fagen is still around. He released a couple of solo albums. Walter Becker died, I think, in 2000 and was it 22 or something like that. Um, not sure about the date. So yeah, there won't be anything more from Steely Dan. So we have a nice discography that we are going to work our way through. We got 9 albums, and Alex, why don't you start with your last place?
Okay. First, I want to point out how I got to Steely Dan. It's actually a short story. I got this maybe a couple of years ago. Asia, their most famous album, and I liked it. And I always wanted to dive deeper into their discography. And I mean, this was the the perfect kind of the perfect timing, and we did it now. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride. I also was surprised a little bit. I expected a little bit more rock and roll, but I realized they were a full on jazz rock band almost right from the start. Very interesting and amazing playing on all albums. I mean, everybody knows that. And yeah, so my yeah, and this was really, I know we say this all the time, but this was really hard to rank. And I have very similar feelings to many of those albums. So it doesn't say that much that this is my number nine, because maybe two or even three of the other albums could also be my number nine. So my number nine is Katie Light from 1975. It's kind of a transitional album for them, and it introduced their extensive use of session musicians. So yeah, it's quite a good album, but it lacks a real song I like. I mean, Steely Dan is for me. I always look forward to the instrumental part most of the time, because I'm not really a fan of the song sometimes, and also not so much of the singing. But yeah, it features songs like Black Friday and also Doctor Who. I really don't like both of those songs. It's really hard to explain. It's a melody and lyrics combination only Steely Dan can do. I really don't like. And Doctor Who is a perfect example. I really don't like the melody and what is sung, and also the voice of Donald Fagen can be annoying to me. I'm really sorry about that. I would really prefer this band to have a different singer, but yeah, it's of course Donald Fagen's band. But I don't really listen to Steely Dan for the vocals. So they have a very, combined with these lyrics, they also always have a distant feel. The all-knowing narrator, kind of, yeah, sometimes look down. It's a very educated perspective. I don't mind that much, but combined with this also very highbrow jazz rock, yeah, yeah. I don't like it always. So, but I connect emotionally sometimes. There are really exceptions. I will talk about them later. And yeah, this is my number nine, Katie Light.
This is going to be very, very interesting. Okay, so I will say a couple of words about my relationship to Steely Dan. And like I mentioned before, it was my good friend Errol who introduced me to this band. It was in the mid to late 90s. We were hanging out a lot, uh, watching movies, and of course listening to music. And he got his hands on this box set that features all of their albums and a couple of bonus tracks. And yeah, he kept talking about them, kept playing them, and I really got into them. And so I bought this one as well. And then I bought all their other stuff. And I don't listen to Steely Dan all of the time, but I have some phases where I'm getting in the mood for them, and then I'm listening to nothing else but Steely Dan. And in the past, like 26, 27 years, that happened a couple of times that I rediscovered them, and I like almost every album the same by them. So the ranking wasn't that easy for me. One funny story: when we were both Errol and me, we were both into Steely Dan. It was like I said, late '90s. So you had these short messages on your phone, which you still had to pay. You had to pay for each message that you sent. And I remember one occasion where we just texted each other snippets from their lyrics. So we were kind of talking in Steely Dan lyrics with each other and did that for a couple of hours or something like that. That's how into the band we were. And yeah, and I love the lyrics. So I get this that they are a bit snobby and sometimes maybe highbrow, but I think they are really funny, even if I don't always get what they are really hinting at. There are many like almost Easter eggs and allusions to people and occurrences that only the songwriters know about probably. So it's all very mystical.
And
But
sometimes to literature. So
yeah, but they are always yeah they always have these funny names in their lyrics. People they are talking about. I just one name that I remember now. Hoops McCann, for example, comes up in one song, and yeah, very memorable. So these lyrics get stuck in your mind even when you don't really know what they are going on about. Yeah, I love this band, but I also have a least favorite album that's going to come out on number nine, and that is their final album from 2004, Everything Must Go. And this is not a bad album. It's a good album. Um, it has a it has a very distinct sound. It has a very snappy snare drum. So it's yeah, the snare drum is pretty hard, you could say. So it has this really snappy sound. Lots of air in the sound. I love that about them. So it never sounds like you have it today with rock music. That you don't have the feeling that the music was really recorded in a place, but everything just directly went through some cables into a machine. And here you have lots of space between the different instruments, so it has a nice airy feel. Um, there are good songs on here. The Last Mall, I like that one. Things I Miss the Most. These are the two openers. Blue Speech has this kind of upbeat, chirpy melody that I like. God Whacker is a little bit more groovy. I love that this is the first album where Walter Becker gets to sing a song, Slang of Ages. I like that one as well. A good album, an excellent final album, but I like the other albums more because I think the songs in themselves are more memorable on the older albums, and here the songs tend to sound a bit the same to me. So that's why I have it on last place. Everything Must Go.
okay, so my number eight is Two Against Nature. Their return in the year 2000. And it won a Grammy Album of the Year against Radiohead, Beck, and Eminem. So it's pretty cool. So for a late comeback, yeah, and it again features super sophisticated jazz rock arrangements, but it kind of lacks the edge of their earlier albums. It's more similar to their later catalog, of course, but not nearly as good. I don't like it that much. It's still a good album. That's my number eight.
Okay, it's my number eight as well. I loved it when it came out. Thought it's kind of amazing, like 19 years after they split up to put out this one, which yeah, sounds like they have never left. I mean, certainly has a more modern sound. It's more of its time than the albums before, but you immediately recognize them. And not only for Donald Fagen's sound, the lyrics are there, very sophisticated songwriting. And I like a lot of the songs on here. I think Gaslighting Abbey is a beautiful opener. What a Shame About Me, very groovy, very summerly. It's music that makes the sunshine for me. I love Almost Gothic, which is the way he describes a girl in this song. She's almost gothic in a natural way. That's one of those turns of phrase that's just no one would say that except for Donald Fagen. I think it's just a funny observation to call a girl almost gothic in a natural way. Jack of Speed is a pretty cool song, a little more of a funky song. Cousin Dupree, Negative Girl. I like everything on this one, but yeah, the huge hits are on their older albums, so this one had to be my number 8.
Okay, my number 7 is, you mentioned it before, Everything Must Go from 2003, their final album. It was recorded with more live band performances than Two Against Nature, and I think you can hear it. And I prefer it a little bit, not by much, but a little bit. And yeah, it is not as memorable melodically as the best Steely Dan records earlier. And also the production feels less ambitious. But yeah, it has some highlights, like Godwhacker. I like that song, and also the title track that are the standouts for me.
Okay. So yeah, this might be a shocker, but my number 7 is Aja. And I have it this low because I like poppy Steely Dan a little bit more than the all-out jazzy Steely Dan. And this album is kind of famous for its sophisticated production. It's an album that always gets mentioned when people are discussing the best sounding albums of all time. So this is the album that people who have bought a really expensive stereo are going to use to test their speakers and stuff like that. And you can hear it. I don't know how many hours they spend in the studio, or days or months, but this is an album that almost sounds inhuman. Um, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but yeah, the songs are way longer than on their older albums. I like it when they are writing these short and hooky pop songs. This is kind of complaining on a very high level. Black Cow is a great opener. It was sampled by the New York hip hop duo Lord Tariq and Peter Guns in 1998. And it was a hit, but you won't find that song anywhere anymore because Steely Dan didn't like it that much that they sampled the song.
Hmm.
Asia is beautiful. Deacon Blues is probably one of my absolute favorite Steely Dan songs. I love that. It's the highlight for me on this album. But I was never a big fan of Peg, Home at Last, and I Got the News. So yeah, it's a great album, but there has to be a record that I put down on 7, and this one's it for me.
Okay. So my number 6 is Pretzel Logic. Yeah, it contains songs like Ricky Don't Lose That Number, or especially like the song With the Gun. And yeah, this was their first major commercial breakthrough. And yeah, this is really a very good album. I think I like this one much more than my numbers 7 to 9. Yeah, and it's also again a shift toward a studio-focused band with using top session musicians. And yeah, but why I placed this a little bit lower than what will now come. It feels more like a collection of songs than an album to me. I don't really know why. I don't feel they are really that much connected. But that's really my only complaint. It's really a very good album. My number 6.
Okay. So my number 6 is their second to last album from their early days. It's Gaucho. Like with Aja, so this is the album that came afterwards. And on this one, you also hear this very sophisticated sound, perfectly mixed and produced and recorded. So that's really the difference to their earlier days where it really seems more like a band playing and not so much studio trickery and stuff like that. Um, I like this a little bit better than Asia because of the songs. Simple as that. I love Babylon Sisters. I think that's a beautiful, incredible song. Also, one of my all-time favorites by Steely Dan. Hey 19 was a bit of a hit. That's also great. Hey 19, that's Aretha Franklin. So he has this young girl as a girlfriend, and he has to explain to her who Aretha Franklin is because she doesn't know her. Glamour Profession is a very shimmery, gleaming, perfectly recorded song that I like a lot. It's about it's about the show business and Hollywood. Um, on Two Against Nature, they have their song West of Hollywood. I think that's a bit similar. Maybe it's a sequel. So I like that one. Gaucho, I like that one as well. Um, then it gets a little darker in the end. Time Out of Mind, My Rival, Third World Man, especially, they are a bit gloomy. Um, yeah, love this album. Like I said, a little bit better because of the first three songs than Aja. So this is my six.
Okay, so my number five is Countdown to Ecstasy from 1973. There it is. So it was written while the band was actively touring. So a very different, it must have been a very different experience for the band, and it's clearly more guitar driven than later albums, but also less catchy than the debut. So, and the production isn't as polished as their later work, and it features one of my favorite songs from Steely Dan. It's Bodhisattva, which you can describe as it's basically rock and roll with some fancy jazz chords inserted. You can call it highbrow rock and roll, maybe, but it's really very cool, and has a cool guitar sound and a cool soloing. I also another highlight on this album is My Old School. It's also a very cool song. That's Steely Dan I love. I don't like the songs Rather Boy or Showbiz Kid. That's again this kind of lyrics vocal melody combination thing. I don't like. I can't really explain what it is, but there is something about it. Yeah, I don't really connect with. So, but in average, still a very good album, and it's my number five.
Okay. So my number five is The Royal Scam. Um, and so it's the album that's coming before Aja.
Mhm.
And yeah, from this point on, it was really hard for me to place them, and I really went by ear. I just placed them how I felt in this moment because I like these albums, every single one of them, and any yeah, given my mood, I might like this album better than the other, but it could switch the next day. So there are many songs on this album that I really love. The opener, for example, Kid Charlemagne, very groovy, upbeat song. The Caves of Altamira is a beautiful song. Back in the day, I loved the Faz, which is this funny song. I think it's about sex or safe sex. I think the Faz, which is this like Arabian hat. Usually, I think it stands in for a condom, and he's singing, "You're never gonna do it without the Faz on." Yeah, and it has this yeah upbeat groove. Keeps repeating that same lyrics over and over. Um, has a bit worn out over the years, but I loved that back then. Haitian Divorce is a nice storytelling song about a girl cheating on her husband while on vacation in Haiti. Um, The Royal Scam is another one of their rather moody and dark songs. Yeah, good album, nothing to complain about, but I like the others a little bit more.
Okay. So my number four is Asia from 1977, which is widely regarded as the band's masterpiece. But after listening to all the albums, I don't really understand why, because I think they have a few contenders for this title. I mean, also if you consider the great production, there are still others that are quite as good, maybe even better. Yeah, still, this is a very good album and absolutely deserving of the praise. But I don't think Steely Dan have the masterpiece. I think it's just a matter of opinion. I think if you would ask, I don't, 100 Steely Dan fans, I would really be curious how many would say Asia. So they could say name a lot of albums. So, yeah, I especially like the songs Peck or Josie and yeah, also Deacon Blues. Yeah, it's really a very, very good album. But yeah, what I still found out when revisiting it, the vocals kind of they don't really grab me in Steely Dan, and that's a little bit of a problem for me because vocals usually are very, very important to me. But if the music otherwise is interesting, like in Steely Dan, I don't mind it that much. And I mean, the vocals are not horrible. They are pretty good, sometimes or good, and sometimes annoying. So yeah, and yeah, Asia is really a very, very good album. I don't connect with the lyrics, and I think with such an album, it would be really, really great if you would connect with the lyrics. And I really wonder who is connecting with these lyrics, because I don't think Dan is a singer that is particularly good at this. Maybe it's just me, but I don't feel like that. I think a lot of people think um, he's not really very much connecting with the audience. So, but yeah, still great music and a great album. My number four.
Yeah, I kind of agree that Steely Dan are certainly not the band who are I don't know, singing for the people in the audience, or being the voice of the people or something like
Yes,
that.
yes,
That's certainly true, but in the case of Asia, I think that a song like Deacon Blues is very heartfelt and moving for Steely Dan,
yeah,
singing about this kind of loser musician type. But yeah, it's more like the lyrics of Steely Dan is more like reading a book by a very brilliant author or something like that. So you have to appreciate the wordplay and the observations, and it's not so much that they are kind of saying things that are on your chest, right? So
yeah. I totally get that, and I usually I connect with such stuff, but I think it's the very special mix of this vocal delivery and the lyrics that
okay.
kind of
Uh,
puts me down. I
yeah.
think if it would be delivered like in a Bob Dylan song, I mean, Dylan does similar things lyrically sometimes. So that would be feel more familiar to me. But in this jazz rock world, to me, it's kind of, I don't know, I don't get it for some reason.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's a criticism that a lot of people would have for the Dan, right?
Yeah.
I this kind of highbrow thing, a little detached and cynical often. Yeah, that's not unusual.
Yeah, I mean, they have the sophistication on all levels,
Yeah,
musically and lyrically. Maybe that is too much for some.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number four is Pretzel Logic. And the reason why I have it on four, I think that in the past I would have ranked it maybe even lower because there are a couple of tunes on here that I don't care for that much, but it has grown in my estimation, and I don't mind these songs that much. And on the other hand, there are songs I absolutely love on here. Ricky, Don't Lose That Number, one of their biggest hits. Great song. Um, I shouldn't like it anymore because I have listened to it so many times, but I still think it's a great song. Um, Any Major Dude Will Tell You. I love that one. Um, and then a song that I never heard anyone praising, but I love it is Berrytown, where he's singing about this town and the weird people that are coming from there. I love that. Over there in Berrytown, they do things very strange. It's just a funny song to me, a beautiful hook line. Then the side A ends with this kind of old time jazz instrumental East St. Louis Toodaloo, which I don't really need. I mean, it's not really a song, but yeah, it always kind of annoys me. Um, Parker's Band about Charlie Parker, great song. Through with Buzz is great. With a Gun is pretty rocking. I think you mentioned it before. That's cool. So yeah, nice album, and for the songs alone, it's my number four.
Ah, very cool. So my number three is Gaucho from 1980. I think this is the peak of their obsession with finding the perfect sound. And it took nearly 2 years to complete. Yeah, and it blends jazz, pop, and funk. It is pretty funky, this record. And yeah, very, very sophisticated studio rock. And yeah, is a very cohesive album from start to finish. I like it more than Asia, actually. Yeah, and you mentioned the great tracks already, like Hey 19 and Time Out of Mind. Yeah, it feels very cold, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think this was partly the aesthetic in the 80s, and I like that, and I think it really sounds amazing, amazing production, and I think sonically this is their best. And for the Sonics alone, this album is a masterpiece. But still, the music also kicks ass. I really, yeah, I love Gaucho. Really great album.
Yeah, cool. So my number three is Countdown to Ecstasy. And it's funny that you mentioned Bodhisattva because I never liked that song. I I nowadays I made my peace with it, and I didn't dislike it, but it was always a song that was that was not what I wanted Steely Dan to sound like, and in their work, in their whole work catalog, it always seems like kind of a novelty song or something because it completely stands out from what they are doing. Um, but I love Razor Boy,
Ah,
and that's also because the lyrics are so great. It has one of my favorite lines. Uh, I think only women in cages can play down the things they lose. Uh, is just a great line that sums up everything that I love about Steely Dan singing about women in cages. Just crazy. Then I think the Razor Boy is actually the Grim Reaper. Because one day the Razor Boy comes and takes all your fancy things away. And the way that Donald Fagen sings this with this like kind of soothing melody, but there's a little bit of menace behind it. Love that song. The Boston Rag is also one of my favorites. It's a little bit like Steely Dan playing mid 70s classic rock to me. Um, has a little bit more crunch to it. Love that one. Your Gold Teeth is also great. I'm asking myself why I put this only on three, but okay, the other two records are still coming up. Showbiz Kids, love that one. My Old School, love that one. Pearl of the Quarter, beautiful. King of the World, fantastic record. And this is the Steely Dan I love, writing these hooky, um, sophisticated jazz pop songs. Looking cool on the back cover. The guy with the beard looks a bit like from a southern rock band. Uh, yeah, great album. My number three.
Okay. So my number two is might be a little bit of a contrarian choice. I'm not that familiar with how well regarded the single albums are. My number two is The Royal Scam from 1976. Yeah, their fifth album. Yeah, it has very dark themes of greed and corruption, and it's more guitar heavy than earlier Steely Dan albums. It has a great guitar solo on Kid Charlemagne. I really love that. It's maybe it's really one of the very best solos in my opinion. And also Don't Take Me Alive has a very iconic, great opening riff. I love that one. So yeah, basically the guitar sound and the guitar attack on this album is really cool and also funky again. And this album also has an awesome production. So and yeah, I like it even more than Gaucho and Asia. So yeah, and also I like the songs here. I love the Fez. You mentioned it before. Also, Don't Take Me Alive. And yeah, I really think this is a fantastic album that is maybe not that well regarded, or is it? Maybe
Yeah,
it is.
I think to me it always seems like it's kind of forgotten. It doesn't get mentioned that often, and maybe it's because yeah, it's a little darker than the other stuff, and that makes it kind of fall out of the
Yeah,
conversation. Maybe.
yeah, maybe that's also why it's more appealing to me.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little bit more interesting. But I also have to say, I had to get into this very quickly to get the birthday present ready. So maybe by my opinions will change. Though everything here has a kind of a first impressions character. So keep that in mind. Probably my ranking will change a little bit in the future.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, yeah, they don't have a bad album. So
Yes.
one thing I want to bring up because I just yeah, got these all out of the cellar where I stored them, and I
Wow.
bought this still when we had Deutschmarks in Germany, and this one you see it's a pretty old CD, but I think I bought this in a huge record store in World of Music, and I paid 79 Deutschmarks for this one.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a huge chunk of money. It's about more than twice as much what a CD cost back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but that's how bad I wanted this one.
Wow.
Um, okay, so my number two is their debut album, Can't Buy a Thrill. And I always thought, well, yeah, okay, in metal, it's often the case that the debut album is held in highest regard because it's raw, and then you know, bands kind of lose their edge. So I always think, well, but with Steely Dan, their later albums are more highly regarded because they would refine their sound, and you know, here they were still a band. Um, while they later on became this kind of studio project with just these two guys playing with session musicians that they hired. Um, so this one is still yeah, pretty easygoing 70s pop record, and I love the vibe of this thing so much, and every time I listen to it I think how perfect it is, and it's still a little bit more vibrant than they were later when everything was very clean and sometimes sterile maybe. Um, and but the songwriting is amazing. There are so many great and hooky songs. "Do It Again," one of their most famous songs. Also a song I can't get enough of. "Dirty Work," which is a song sung from the perspective of a vibrator. Steely Dan is a vibrator in one of William Burroughs' novels. So yeah, that's the kind of humor of Steely Dan. Um, I love Kings. The third one, "Midnight Cruiser," brilliant. "Only a Fool Would Say That," which has this kind of Latin groove to it. Also wonderful. "Reeling in the Years," perfect. "Fire in the Hole," "Brooklyn Owes the Charmer Under Me," "Change of the Guard," which is pretty fast and a little more rocking. "Turn That Heartbeat Over Again." There's not a bad song over here. Every song could be a hit single, in my opinion. Um, Love it to death, and it's my number two. So that means there's still one album I like more.
Wow. Okay, so your number two is my number one. Can't buy a thrill. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, yeah. I can almost repeat what you just said. So this is also the album. That's also why I picked it. It's I had kind of had to pick it. It's closest to my musical taste for various reasons. I don't usually don't. I have nothing against jazz. I also listen to some jazz, also some jazz rock, but I'm certainly not a jazz rock aficionado or something like that. But this is closest to my musical home. I also like Reeling in the Years. I also like the great guitar solo in it. And yeah, this whole album leans more towards straight rock pop than the jazz rock that would come later. The expensive sounding Steely Dan trademark jazz rock. Yeah, but this one really, in the end of the day, what you remember and what you like best are the songs. Yeah, and this one to me has clearly, as you also said, the best songs like "Do It Again" or also "Dirty Work." Yeah, and yeah, many more. And yeah, and it also has some soulful singing. I actually like David Palmer on lead vocals here. I think to me, I mean, yeah, I understand if the songwriter wants to sing himself. I totally respect that. But I connect more with David Palmer, and I think his singing on this album is great, like on Dirty Work. And yeah, and they have very cool vocal melodies here. Yeah, also "Do It Again." It's really amazing. Yeah, and it's less jazzy. Also, the melodies are a little bit simpler. The harmonics are little bit simpler, but that's not really why it's better. But it's, yeah, really well crafted, good pop rock tunes. Yeah, that happened before they became full on jazz rockers. And yeah, this appeals the most to me, and it's kind of had to be my number one.
I I have no problem with that. I mean, I was praising it before, and I thought when you were kind of talking about Donald Fagen that you would like David Palmer more. I think yeah, maybe he's a better singer in the technical sense, but I think Donald Fagen has a very unique voice, right? And his voice also kind of makes these lyrics work better, I think. So
Mhm.
David Palmer is more pleasing, a little bit more middle of the road, you could say. So yeah, that's why Donald Fagen annoys you sometime, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I connect with such voices, and sometimes I don't. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Maybe it will grow on you. So, but yeah, you already know it. But when I said this will be very interesting, it's because Your last place album is my first place album, Katie Lied. And yeah, it's just there are so many songs I love on here. I love Black Friday, Bad Sneakers. Daddy Don't Live in That New York City No More is a very cool bluesy rock song. Uh, I love Doctor Who. Everyone's Gone to the Movies is also very upbeat and fun. Um, Everyone's Gone to the Movies. Now We're Alone Again. Wonder what they will be doing. Your Gold Teeth, Part 2, Chain Lightning. Any World That I'm Welcome To is a very friendly song. And Throwback the Little Ones, also great. Yeah, like I said, I just listened to them and ranked them, and this one came out on top. Maybe if I would do it today or tomorrow, I would decide otherwise. But yeah, I think with their first uh, 7 albums, you can't make the wrong choice. They are all great, and yeah, given your mood on that day, you will like this album more or that. Um, and there's great stuff on every one of them. Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I like him. I mean, it's kind of it's also, and I don't mean this in a degrading way. I think Steely Dan is the perfect background music for any occasion. While you are working, while you're at home, while you're cooking, while you have guests at home. I think you can listen to them or you can ignore them. So both works perfectly for me.
Yeah, it's very pleasing sounding, and then when you concentrate on it, you will get the dark sides, right? And when you listen to the lyrics, you will realize that sometimes what sounds so pleasing is pretty nasty, in fact. So I think that's what makes them kind of interesting and fascinating. That there are many different sides to them, and they are not only um, doing this background music, right? That you can play in elevators or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But you can really dive into and focus on details, and we'll get a lot out of it. And yeah, and the songs change. I mean, there are so many songs that I didn't like 20 years ago that I now absolutely love. And because there's so much to discover, especially if you want to dive into their lyrics and yeah, kind of ask yourself what do they mean with that one? High in the Custard Dome. What does that mean? I
Mhm.
still don't know. Yeah, great band. So, have you any last words?
Maybe I could quote Steve Albini. He had some beef with the band, and I thought it was kind of funny, and yeah, and I think he kind of had a point. Yeah, did you know that quote?
I
He,
don't
he
think so. I'm not sure.
a few years. I mean, Steve Albini is a famous producer and punk rocker. He had some bands. He plays in Shellac and yeah, and some other bands. He produced Nirvana and a lot of Bush and a lot of the Breeders, a lot of punk rock bands. And he also has a very famous studio aesthetic, very unlike Steely Dan, and he was complaining. He was saying about their production technique, spending weeks on this sound, and he said something like. All this hard work just to get in Saturday Night Live warm up sound in the end. And I think he's kind of right because I mean it's really a sound that appeals to so many people. But I mean those albums really sound amazing. So there's no denying it that. But yeah, from a punk rock perspective, that is probably the enemy for some people.
Yeah, and I mean that's why Steve Albini makes Steve Albini records and not Steely Dan records, right?
Yeah, right,
So
right,
everything's
right.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I get it. If people don't like it, yeah, I mean that's how that works, right? I love him, and if you don't love him, that's fine with me.
Yeah, that's perfectly
I
fine. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't record those albums, so you won't hurt me by saying that. Okay, so dear Arrow, I hope you liked your birthday present, and you agree with a couple of things we said. Maybe you want to comment on that video and give us your ranking, and share a couple of stories or memories with us. To all you other guys, if you don't know Steely Dan, this is your opportunity to dive in and change that, because I think there's a lot to discover. But if that's not your style, we will have something for you coming up. I'm pretty sure about that. So until then, thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and comment away. And see you next time in any world that I'm welcome to.
Yeah, bye.